I don't know what to do about guns. I don't know if we should have more of them or less of them. But I don't have to have an opinion about everything. I don't have an opinion about Morbius because I don't know what that is. But I don't like dishonest arguments. I don't like the dishonest arguments being spread by right-wing gun nuts like Joe Rogan.
I wrote this thing once that said this country has a mental health problem disguised as a gun problem, and that's what it is. There's so many guns. There's more guns than there are people. I don't think it's a gun situation.
Yeah, there's more guns than there are people, but we don't have a gun problem. You know, if you've got more guns in your house than you do forks, you might have a mental health situation. Maybe. I don't know. You know, incidentally, Joe Rogan's BFF forever, Governor Greg Abbott of Texas, he has done everything in his power to make sure that Texas remains last in access to mental health care.
And I don't think you can change the fact that and I don't think it's wise to take the guns away from the people and leave all the power to the government. We see how they are, even with an armed populace. They still have a tendency towards totalitarianism.
Exactly. Even with a heavily armed populace, the Republican Party continues to push us increasingly towards totalitarianism. People like Greg Abbott and the man who Joe Rogan described as a reasonable guy who he would vote for, Governor Ron DeSantis. A guy who has a police unit specializing in voting. They're going to patrol the polls to make sure no one votes against Ron DeSantis. By the way, there's a little loophole in there. Civilians can kind of do a sort of, if you see something, say something phone call, 1-800 number, if you see any suspected voter fraud. You know what the biggest red flag for cheating that I can think of is? A red hat. I'm just saying, if you see something, say something. Don't you think it's odd that the people who push us towards totalitarianism are always the ones telling us we need to stock up on guns to protect ourselves from totalitarianism? I don't go around giving tips to my haters on how to screw me over. Let's say I was a normal person who owned things. Let's say I owned, a microphone, a camera, a soundboard. And you knocked on my door and you said, "Hey, buddy, I'm looking to rob you. When's the best time for me to come back?" I highly doubt I'm going to be like, midnight, keys under the mat. I find it very odd that the people who are trying to take away our right to vote, our right to bodily autonomy, our right to privacy, the right for gay people to be teachers, I find it very odd that those are also the same people that are telling us that we need to stock up on guns to protect ourselves from them. That's the sort of dishonest talking point I'm talking about. Here's another good one. I remember hearing that concealed carry forced the crime rates in Florida to decline. Well, sort of, and by sort of I mean not even close. Causation, correlation. The crime rates had already begun to drop when concealed carry had passed because the crime rate had increased in the early 80s. And the reason for that was Fidel Castro pulled a prank on the United States. He took all of his prisons, he emptied them out of all the career criminals, he put them on a boat and shipped them toward Miami. Because during the Cold War, there was a law that gave high priority visas to anyone from a so-called communist country who was willing to defect. You ever see the movie Scarface? Hell of a prank, by the way. I don't necessarily agree with Castro 100%, but I'll tell you what, that was a good one. Listen, we all know Obama's to blame for these mass shootings, don't we? I mean, for real, we were all told that he was going to take our guns away. We were told that every day during the Obama administration. And so, me personally, I took all my guns, I put them in a box, and I put them at the end of the driveway. And for 8 years, I waited for Obama to come by and take my guns away. He never showed up. Eventually, I had to donate my guns to the local psychiatric hospital. Thanks, Obama.